Are you feeling stuck in your career even though you're doing everything right? In this episode, I sit down with career strategist Julia Toothacre to talk about why high achieving working moms can feel unfulfilled, how life seasons, hello newborns and grief, impact your clarity, and the powerful framework to regain control of your career without burnout. If you've ever asked, is this it? This conversation's for you. Tune in now and start taking your power back. Hey mama, welcome to Career Growth for Working Moms. If you're stuck in a job that doesn't fit or burning out trying to do it all, you're in the right place. I'm Shannon, a career coach and fellow working mom. Here, you'll get simple career strategies and strength-based leadership tips to help you grow with clarity and confidence. So grab your coffee or reheat it for the third time and let's do this. Hello and welcome. Today I'm excited to have Julia Toothacre on the show. Julia is a seasoned career strategist and coach with over 14 years of experience helping mid-career professionals stop waiting for permission and take control of their professional paths. As the creator of the Control Your Career Process, a 5-phase framework, Julia guides high achievers to gain clarity, align with values, and advance strategically. With experience working in university career offices and writing for outlets like Forbes and Newsweek, she brings both expertise and empathy to the conversation. Julia has led thousands of coaching conversations and now supports professionals, especially those juggling career growth and family who refuse to sell out or burn out. Julia, welcome to the show. I can't wait to dive in.
Thank you for having me, Shannon. I'm so happy to be here and share with your audience.
So, what inspired you to move from career counseling in higher education into creating the Control Your Career framework?
Yeah, life happened. And I think this will resonate with your listeners. So I lost my dad, had my son, and lost my mom within an 18-month period of time.
Wow.
So
Wow.
big, massive life events back
Right.
to back. Along with working full time, I was working in higher education at the time, leading a career office. And actually, I loved my job. I loved my work. It was one of those things where I wasn't dealing well with anything,
Right.
with the grief, with becoming a new mom. I was like a reluctant mom. People were
Right.
shocked that I had a child. I mean, that's the kind of, parent that I am. And so it was just a lot to handle. And then I'm also an only child. So I lost my
Wow.
parents while I had this tiny baby. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel orphaned. There
Right.
was a lot running around for me. And I saw an
Absolutely.
opportunity to be able to start my own business and take control of my own career and go, you know what? I think this is what I need. I need to heal. I need time. I want more time with my child, which I never thought that I would say, to be honest with you. Former workaholic,
Yes.
still kind of a workaholic,
Guilty too.
right? And so that led me into, starting my own business, which then led to, you know what? I've been doing this for a long time. And all these old methods that I learned that worked at some point in time for people do not work now. They really don't take into account the uniqueness of everybody's situation, of their lived experience, of their personalities, of who they are. So I wanted to create a process that allowed anybody, regardless of your background and who you are, to jump in and be able to use it to guide their career so that they could control it more.
Wow. That's a wonderful story. I can only imagine like the grief that you were dealing with
Mhm.
and also the joy of being a mom. Like that's just in itself is so emotional. And then having a career. I mean, I'm sure our listeners, our moms listening can relate to that at
Yeah.
some level of just in life in general, because I mean that's just a lot. I'm just sitting here thinking like, oh, the ups and downs, and like you said, being an only child. Wow, you lost your whole family in that, but also gained a family, a little one.
It
So
was a really confusing time.
yeah,
It was
I'm sure. I can bet. I can bet. So we have a lot of working moms that kind of feel stuck, even if they're doing well at work. So what are some of the most common reasons that people feel that pull, and how do you think that they can regain some clarity in that situation?
Yeah, so I find that when people are stuck, it's usually that something is missing somewhere. And so one of the things that we have to do is look at our situation and really dig into what is at the root of what is going on. So is it something that's happening at work, or is it something that's happening in our personal life? Because a lot of times something might be happening in our personal life that, then affects our work life in a way that we're not necessarily seeing. And so when I work with clients, I really like them to give me a full spectrum of what's going on in your
Right.
life. You
Right.
know, I don't need to know every single detail, but if you are, for example, like if you have an elderly parent that you're having to care for, or you have a child that has special needs, or you have a young child at home,
Right.
my advice is going to look different and our strategy is going to look different. Because if you have a young child at home, separate from any special attention that they might need, that's a season, right? That's
Yes.
a season. So if you're feeling stuck and lost and I don't know what, I'm going to say, you know what, let's just ride it out for right now, because you need to get out of tiny baby stage and we need to get into a stage of life that this isn't real, but that is a little bit more stable in terms of you're not up in the middle of the night
Every
multiple
few
times a
hours.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that when you're not sleeping, when you're having to manage this baby all the time, right, with feedings and all of that, they're not self-sufficient yet, right? And so
Right.
that's going to impact, honestly, how you show up at work. So I want to know that. I want to know where you're at, what stage of life you're in, because I think, especially for the moms that are used to being high achieving, they're used to really like, I give my all, I do all the things. And now I'm just tired and I just don't want to. Well, yeah, you
Exactly.
are tired. And
Yes.
that's okay. That's a season. And so then we look at it and go, it's okay to just show up.
Right.
It's okay to just show up and do the job and do it to the best of your ability, right? But
Right.
we don't have to give 130% like we have in the past. We're going to show up, we're going to do our job, and we're going to come home. And then that season is going to get to a point where you're feeling, okay, kid is sleeping through the night. I don't have to change diapers anymore. They can get their own snacks. You have a little bit more freedom in some cases, and
Mhm.
then we can show up differently to work.
Yes, I love that. And I think that if we don't take care of ourselves and recognize, I like that you're saying it's a season, because I feel like if you don't recognize that it's a season, then that can lead to burnout. Or and and it's so important for you to take care of yourself and to have that self-care component, especially when you have those babies that are waking you up every 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours to eat. Like, I felt like that just to get a little bit of rest at times, that was all I could handle, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and you're sleep deprived.
Yes.
And that's what people have to realize is you are not functioning on all cylinders in that season. Like
Right.
you probably shouldn't even be driving your car, to be honest with you. Like
Yes.
that's how sleep deprived a lot of parents are in that
Yeah.
stage, moms and dads, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
that it's one of those things where I'm like, you got to look at your situation with a lot of clarity and a lot of depth to what is going on, not just what's on the surface. Because when you have that sleep deprivation, then that coworker that maybe you don't get along with really great, or the manager that you've been, having some issues with, that's just going to escalate in your mind because you're so tired. So you want to check those scenarios first before we make any kind of drastic moves in your career.
Yes, definitely. Self-awareness of being aware of how you're feeling and all of that I is very important, because you don't want to come in and like snap at someone that you shouldn't, just because you're sleep deprived, or
Yeah, but also letting those around you, especially if you are a manager of people, obviously they likely know that you have kids at home, but let them know, hey, I'm in a really tough season right now. I'm not sleeping well. I can tell I'm a little bit short. I'm going to apologize in advance. Please call me out on it, right? Like
Right.
give your people the freedom to say, hey, are you okay? you're being a little short with me. And then that's a sign for you to be like, oh, okay, yes, I'm okay. I didn't
Right.
sleep well last night, or I got up really early, whatever it is. I think there has to be a level of that without giving too much away. We don't need to share every little bit of our lives, but we
Right.
do need to show up and be honest with the people around us so that we can all respond well to each other.
Yes, and that goes communication with, like you said, with all of the people around you. That's important so that there is no misunderstandings of like, okay, hey, I didn't sleep really well last night. Please show me a little extra grace today. I'm going to try my best, but it is what it is, kind of thing.
Exactly, exactly. And I will say too, and I know that your audience is working moms, but I always like to make a nod to the professionals who aren't parents, but maybe have animals at home, right? You have a
Yes.
dog and a cat. I know my dog causes me more sleep issues right now than my child does because
Yes.
she's old, right? And so we wake up in the middle of the night to her making some weird noise and we think she's dying. So I think there's also some grace to be given on the other side as well with those
Absolutely.
who aren't parents in terms of they have lives too. They have things that happen. They're also going to be tired for different reasons.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to give that back and forth.
Absolutely. And you brought up a good a good point about just like life events affecting your career. How what happens if they're to the moms that are listening, like what happens? I know you got to be a parent and you were dealing with grief. How do
Mhm.
you reframe how did you reframe that so that it was more of like a powerful next chapter versus like crawling inside? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. And I did crawl inside. So my version of crawling inside was I'm going to make lists and I'm going to do the things and I'm going to call the people and I'm going to throw myself into like a project manager role for my parents' deaths, right?
Right.
So that was how I cut that off for a period of time.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening for us once I got to a point where I was like, okay, I've done what I can do. You know, we sold the house, we've done all these big things that I needed to get through and check off.
Right.
I actually sat down with a friend of mine who's also a coach. And I said, we need to go through some exercises. Like, I needed a coach for myself because I knew that my husband and I were both in this limbo of who are we? We're feeling a little lost, but we also feel like we have this weird freedom now. And so, what are we doing with life? And so, we sat down and we did a values exercise, which I actually have on my website. But we also did some visioning for our
Oh,
lives. And I had not done that before because I kind of strictly do career. Visioning out in this way was not something that I normally do. And my friend did it. And so, that was really helpful for us to realign
mhm.
because we just had a new outlook. We had this baby, we had different opportunities in front of us. And so we were able to go, okay, is this what we want? Is this what we want? Is this what we want? And we were able to think about that together and come up with a plan. And so it was a really good way for us to create some structure in a really chaotic, emotionally chaotic time for us.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love that. So, you mentioned your website. Is that the best place for our listeners to connect with you?
Yeah, so if you go to ridethetidecollective.com, you will find a plethora of resources there. My podcast is linked there, but also I'm on LinkedIn quite a lot. I monitor all my LinkedIn, I monitor my messages. So if you really want to connect with me, that's probably the best place, but all my resources are going to be on my website.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, before we close out, I always love to leave my listeners with a simple action step or a mindset shift that they can make today. So, what do you think is one mindset shift or action about their career that every mom should take today?
So I think you should evaluate your values and not just individually for yourself, but if you have a partner, I would also do that with your partner to have a conversation because especially if you are in a place where things have changed recently. So maybe you're a new mom, or like you have another child, or whatever has changed for you. I think reevaluating those values allows you to go, oh, I didn't know that I had this value now. And that, to our conversation before, might also help you understand why there's maybe some tension going on either in your work life or possibly in your home life. So reevaluate those values for yourself and with your partner. And I think that'll help with a lot of clarity and expectation setting.
I love that because I think that we sometimes get caught in like, oh, well, that's what I valued a year ago, but look at what the difference a year ago or even 6 months, all the things that happened. And so it can change and it can
Mhm.
change very quickly. So I love that little action step to take. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Working Mama, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share it with a friend who's stuck in her career but doesn't want to sacrifice her family to grow? Also, please leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. It seriously lights me up to know this show is helping you navigate burnout, find clarity, and lead with confidence. All right, time to shut down my laptop and pretend I'm not hiding from folding that laundry. I'll meet you back here soon for another episode of Career Growth for Working Moms. You've got this.